Just what the hell do you think you're doing?
Well, you wanted a game, you got one.
I never said anything about winning.
Never said anything about losing either.
I'll spell it out for you. We've got Unger in custody. He's confessed to killing Caretaker.
What?
He said you knew all about it. Well, you didn't notify Captain Knauer, and that makes you an accessory.
You're full of crap.
Mr. Crew, you sent Caretaker to that cell. You are an accessory to murder. You could be looking at 20 years and counting.
Bullshit. There's no way in the world you can make that stick in court.
No? Mr. Crew, you could be in this institution until you are old and gray or until you're dead. Whichever comes first, I can promise you that. You're going to lose the game. And I want a 21-point spread.
I can't do that.
Of course you can. You've done it before.
This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. And with me today in the announcer booth is Sam Stepanenko.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
And
We're looking for a great game.
And over at color is Trish Coughlin.
Yeah. The team looks good today. They look loose. They look ready, really.
And that's only because the prison cafeteria was serving that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that stuff.
That stuff that gives them the squishies.
Isn't that all prison cafeteria food?
I would think.
Yeah. I mean, for Pete's sake, just a few years ago, I found out about something called loaf, and I was very upset about that.
Not meatloaf, just loaf.
It's called loaf. It's supposed to have all the nutrients you have, but it tastes like ass, apparently, and it's a punishment.
Well, how do you keep the prison population calm? They'll be calm as long as they're on the toilet the whole time.
There's that.
I don't know. If I have the runs, I'm on the toilet, but I'm angry.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to take it out on anybody because you won't get up.
It's true. Things are calm, but it doesn't mean they're not angry.
But is there enough toilets to go around?
Well, that's the question, and angry people can do weird things with
Fecal matter?
With fecal matter.
Yeah. This is a weird way to start our salute to the passing of Burt Reynolds.
Yes, but that's the way we roll.
It is. I think Burt would have been okay with a good poop joke.
Yeah.
I would like to think so.
Yeah, last week we did a comparison. This week we're going to do a comparison as well because what else are we going to talk about Adam Sandler?
Oh.
Good, very good point.
Although I was texting with Jason, there's another remake that's his that's...
I guess we will.
Yeah. He's remade something else.
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
Damn you, Sandler.
You know,
when I think of replacements for Burt Reynolds, Adam Sandler is nowhere near the top of the list. But I actually enjoy the remake quite a bit.
I do. I consider this sort of the peak of the Adam Sandler watchable movies.
I think he's probably the weakest casting choice in it, but in this movie, it's kind of enjoyable in that he sort of lays back a bit more and lets a bunch of other people join him in this movie.
Yeah, and he's not playing that standard man boy that he plays all the time. He's
No.
got a little bit of it, but nowhere near to the
I
extreme
feel
he
he's a
plays.
bit of a zombie in this one, but you watch The Longest Yard, there's a bit of darkness in that story, and I think that's something Adam Sandler's version lightens up quite a bit. And then the British one we're going to talk about a little bit, which is called Mean Machine, which is the soccer version of this movie.
It's still football.
Yeah, if to the UK. Yeah. To us, it's soccer.
Or as one Scottish guy who got really mad one time, like, it's not soccer, it's football.
But as somebody who enjoys playing soccer more than football, I've always said soccer should be called football, and we should call football something else, like oddly shaped ball game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a better name for American football, but it needs one.
Egg race? I don't know. Egg fetch?
Well,
something like that?
One of the things I read is that how they differentiated it is because they call it American football versus association football. When you talk about
I've always thought a game that's called football in America that you use your feet very rarely in.
Yes.
Right?
There is sort of a non sequitur there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like we're calling it football, but most of the stuff is full body contact, knocking people down. It is throwing it with your hands. It starts off with the kick, and then there's like a kick later. But that's it.
And all of our sports fans are just rolling their eyes, if not jotting down our names for the death list.
Yeah.
Well, it's just...
I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not a big football fan. Like, I don't watch a lot of sports. I do like soccer. I do actually like football, but I like CFL. I'm Canadian. Yeah. Our rules are a little different than American football.
Thank you. That was what I kept thinking when I was watching this. I'm like, oh...
Yeah, there was some like, that's not how it goes, but I'm going by Canadian rules.
Yeah, we have a bigger field, and of course we have fewer downs too.
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
So. Yeah, so hey, if you're a football fan and you want something a little more challenging, you might want to switch over to CFL. Just saying.
You got to make some moves.
Check it out.
And I know our Americans fans are going to be like, whatever. But I've always thought American football is kind of pansy football.
So,
now you're getting yourself into trouble.
Well,
I do. I actually think we have better football.
I really do too. I think. Well, the thing is,
but that's why they keep poaching our players, because I mean, you work under you play under our rules. You're pretty seasoned. You're kind of coasting when you go to NFL.
Well, the Rock played for the Stamps for a while.
That's right. Dwayne Johnson did.
So yeah, there you go.
Home team.
Welcome, you guys.
That's right. Tiger Stampeders.
Yes, and he was. What do they call him? The Sun. He was in the Sun as one of their pinup boys.
Was he?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, no, it was
that
famous,
was well
it was
before
kind
my
of a
time.
famous meme. There's a picture of him with wearing a fanny pack. And
That was him. Was that Out of the Sun?
Was that
Out
the
of the
Sun?
Yeah, that was from when he was the Sunshine Boy. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That I did not remember.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, that's his Sunshine Boy photograph.
Oh, see, and I love that photograph. So there we go.
Well,
I
you
love
know,
the fact that he owned it too.
Yeah,
right?
you're not a wrestler if you don't have a fanny pack.
True. Or I don't know. He owned it because I mean, who doesn't have those like early '90s pictures where you're like, "What the fuck was I thinking?"
Yes, yeah, it's true.
I was the height of fashion at that time, and I didn't realize.
I didn't know. I didn't know the future was going to mock me for this.
Yeah, but the best part is you can't mock somebody who mocks themselves.
No.
Yeah.
And certainly not the only wrestlers we're going to be talking about today.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Absolutely not.
There are a shit ton of them we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. So the original 1974 Longest Yard was directed by Robert Aldrich, who directed Whatever Happened to Baby Jane and The Dirty Dozen.
Oh, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, I do want to put that on our list. It's an amazing movie. But.
Yeah, the story was by Albert S. Ruddy, who created Hogan's Heroes and Walker, Texas Ranger for a couple of TV legendary shows.
Yeah.
And the screenplay was by Tracy Keenan Wynn. We've talked about the Wins quite a bit.
Yeah.
Most notably, outside of The Longest Yard was The Tribe. This movie stars Burt Reynolds, Eddie Albert, Ed Lauder, Michael Conrad, James Hampton, Harry Caesar, John Stedman, Charles Tyner, Mike Henry, Jim Nicholson, Bernadette Peters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved when I saw it. I was going, oh, fuck. I'm like,
Me
that's
too.
Bernadette Peters. That great hair.
Oh my God, that hair. We'll wait. We'll talk about the hair.
Yeah, we will. Purvis Atkins, Richard Keel, better known as Jaws for
Yes.
our 007 fans, Tony Cacciati, Sonny Sixkiller, and Robert Tessier. And we're going to be also talking about Mean Machine. I'll run through that a little bit later, which was 2001. And, of course, The Longest Yard remake from 2005. Also run through that a little bit later as well.
Yeah, they're all really long cast lists.
Yeah, they're long cast lists. That's why I'm going to separate it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm just going to drone on and on. Everybody's going to be really bored.
Well, it's like they were like, we need a football team, so let's get a who's who of actors for a football team,
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah. You know, Eddie Alberts is. We're going to be talking about him very shortly, and just in a few weeks, he's going to be in something else we're going to be covering. I'm not going to blow what that is, but you guys can run down the IMDb list and make your guesses. Ed Lauder was in Cujo, and we also talked about him in episode 78, which was our King Kong episode.
Yes.
Great cast list overall. Like Harry Caesar was in A Few Good Men, and James Hampston was, well, okay, not everything's great. Teen Wolf.
Yeah. Well, see, I saw
Well,
him.
the first Teen Wolf is great. I love that movie.
Yeah.
When I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, it's the dad from Teen Wolf. That's what I thought. That made me very excited.
Yeah, and you've got actually a bunch of football players actually in this movie, which is good. Like Purvis Atkins was an Oakland Raider halfback, and Jim Nicholson was Kansas City Chiefs. He was tackle. Burt Reynolds played college ball as well. So, you know, there's experience over in this sucker.
Which I think is what makes the football scene so enjoyable to me, because you actually do have some players out there who have talent. Because a lot of that, even in the remake, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but you can see that Adam Sandler is actually out there on the field. Right?
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of his experience is compared to some of the other actors there.
But he did look surprisingly natural.
Yeah, he actually didn't look too
Yes.
bad. I gotta give him credit. Like that, everybody looked pretty good in that movie. And then, yeah, you've got a bunch of wrestlers there, but a lot of them came from football.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Bill Goldberg, and an actor, a football player turned actor like Terry Crews.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I love Terry
Yeah, I
Crews.
know. When I saw him, I'm like, I forgot he was in this. Yay!
I just want to be his friend.
Yeah.
He's just one of those people, you just know that he's a great person, and you just want to hang out. Have
Yeah.
a beer with him.
yeah, he looks like somebody who'd be cool to hang out with for sure.
You just want to be like,
I'm
love
just
me,
never
friend.
going to eat a burger that came out of his pants.
No, that's a no.
Yes, there was a very big concern when that happened. I'm like, wait, they've been playing for a while. How long has that been in there?
At least it'll be warm.
How is it not like squeezed?
Right? And if it isn't squished, there's one bit of equipment you can put it behind where stuff doesn't get squished. Was it
And-
there?
Yeah, and even less. I mean, yes, they're wrapped.
But
still
it's
too
not
close.
a sealed wrapper. It's a McDonald's paper wrapper.
Like if the burger itself was in a condom, maybe.
He's really the
But-
only one I ever see eating them, though.
Yeah, he's
It's
got a
true.
burger a lot.
Yeah.
Where are they coming from? I missed that part.
I don't know, but he has a way of smuggling them in.
Okay.
And, yeah. They just magically appear.
Well, considering he puts them in his pants, who knows how they get smuggled in?
He could secretly be the Grimace.
Ooh.
Or the Hamburgler.
Or the
That's how he got
Hamburglar.
caught. That's what he's in
Hamburglar.
for.
He's the Hamburglar. That made more sense. I totally botched that joke.
I fixed
That's
it for
okay.
you.
Well, all right, I'm going to run the trailer for The Longest Yard, 1974, which also happens to be the longest trailer ever. So if you haven't watched the movie, this ought to do it.
Burt Reynolds, the electricity that turns on the most outrageous team in football. The Mean Machine, supercharged and power-driven to the longest yard. Burt Reynolds, the quarterback who will tackle anything.
Driver's license? Yeah, look what we got here, a miniature cop.
The superstar.
I feel so good.
for me. The stud. The All-American. The All-Amazing. A joker of a jock who laughed all the way to prison.
Paul Crewe. The Wrecking Crew. Anybody who is pro football's most valuable player's got something special.
Did you ever do it standing up? All right, let's move it.
A hero so special, he gets special treatment.
They'll put you in the oven.
Rise and shine.
It's room service.
How do you like them apples?
Superstar.
Shaving points off of a football game, man, that's un-American. Football faggot.
I'm gonna get you 24 hours in a hot box, boy.
I quit. My God, what the hell is that?
That's a member of the Warden football team.
And I run a football team.
What football team?
My football team.
He assembled the meanest, dirtiest team in history.
We're getting up a football game against the guards.
With the guards?
Yeah, I want to play.
I'm gonna play football.
And taught them how to be meaner.
The one thing that you're gonna have to remember is to protect your quarterback. Me.
And dirtier.
I think he broke his neck.
I think he broke his neck. I told you I broke his neck.
Before this game is over, I want every prisoner in this institution to know what I mean by power. And who controls it.
The prison guards against the prisoners they guarded. The game that broke all the rules, all the records, all the bones. The most incredible ever played. On the field and off.
You're going to lose the game, and I want a 21-point spread.
We've come too far together to stop now. Let's do it.
From the producer of The Godfather. From the director of The Dirty Dozen. From the first second to the last, the Mean Machine means it. Burt Reynolds, Eddie Albert, in The Wildest Yet. The Longest Yard.
Okay, so I've got a question for you, and this movie sets it up perfectly. Burt Reynolds with or without a mustache?
Without.
Sam, you're going to have to run that on as a Twitter poll.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe we will. It's funny because I think he looks better without the mustache, but the mustache is such a trademark for him, especially in his later part.
I think it
career.
shaved, like, when they took
Yeah.
that mustache off of him from the beginning of the movie, he looked like 10 years younger.
Oh,
like,
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm like, wow, he looks really young now.
And
But handsome man.
It's like when he gets older, the mustache works, but when he was there, it was like this weird drawn on one. Like it looked funny.
Well, I don't think he started wearing the mustache regularly until later in his career, until the 80s. Because
Yeah,
if
until
you look at
Smokey
some of
the
his early
Bandit.
movies, like Gator and Deliverance, he doesn't have the mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's something that an affectation he took on later on in his career.
Yeah.
Around the Smoking the Bandit time, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and mustaches were kind of bigger in the 80s. I mean, you think of Tom Selleck as well. Rocked the mustache and just got very associated with it. But, here, majority of the movie, he doesn't have it. Yeah. And I'm not sure if he had it in that opening scene, that could have been just makeup for all I know.
Yeah. Because it's weird, because he did have it at the beginning, and then
But it didn't look quite right.
It didn't look
No.
quite right. No, it did look fake.
Yeah.
It looked like those drawn. You imagine how people draw just a black outline of a mustache? That's what it looks like.
It looked kind of Groucho Marx, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Groucho Marx.
it did. It looked like two things that were kind of stuck on his face.
Yeah, like
Two
what you buy at the
caterpillars.
dollar store for Halloween.
Those are supposed to be eyebrows, sir.
Oh no.
Yeah, it did not quite look real. You're
Yeah.
absolutely correct. But again, it came off, and it certainly does make him, as you said, look younger.
Yeah. Okay. So now this movie on IMDb has a 7.1 out of 10 rating, and Rotten Tomatoes was 81% with a 75% audience score. And it's certainly the highest of the three films we're going to be talking about. Mean Machine was sitting around 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb, with Rotten Tomatoes, an unforgiving 34% by the critics, but a 72% audience score. I guess we can do the 2005 remake here as well. IMDb 6.1 out of 10, or 6.4 out of 10, I should say.
That's not bad.
And Rotten Tomatoes score, critic score was 32% and a 61% audience score. So audiences certainly liked the two remakes a whole lot better than the critics did. And I can see certain criticisms, like Mean Machine, I think's a good movie. It isn't filmed particularly well.
No, and they took out a lot of really important character development stuff.
Oh yeah, they move it along like
it's fast.
Yeah, you don't get the debutante that's basically using Paul Crewe as the boy toy, right? As her boy toy.
Yeah, you don't get that at all. Yeah, and there's well, you do.
Well, he's basically just running. You skip to the car stealing moment, right?
Exactly, which is a good 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of the film, gone right there.
Yeah.
And then developing some of the other prisoners, because the two football ones do a really great job of giving you an ensemble cast. Right?
They're fairly close, and I actually think Adam Sandler's movie develops the characters a little bit better.
It does, yeah.
Even though it kind of rushes through certain moments. But I think some moments in the original are too long. Probably watched great in 74. There are definitely things that don't age well. Like, there's the abusive relationship at the beginning as well. It's kind of mutually not so good.
No, it's certainly indicative of the times. And the other thing, too, that carries through all three movies is the abuse in the prison system. Which, when I was watching the Adam Sandler remake, I'm like, I don't know how they felt that this fits, because it's not something that you would expect to see happening in a modern prison film. I'm sure
if you're in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, probably, yeah.
I thought that the prison structure in Mean Machine with the kind of cliques, we're not as familiar with their prison system, so it looked weirder to me. But you had certain guys that were well respected within the prison system, so you had basically a boss that was a prisoner that was kind of running whatever trades were happening within the walls.
Yes.
And I kind of appreciated that. But you know what? Watching that one, it was probably the darkest of the lot.
It was, a lot less humor.
Yeah, they have their moments, but it's definitely a lot darker and consequently less enjoyable in the whole.
To a certain extent,
I think Vinnie Jones is really good because he was a natural soccer player. He is a soccer player. Well, no, I'm saying he came from that world, and when he's doing the stuff, it's like second nature to him. So.
Yeah. It's funny. Watching that, one of the things that I noticed was seeing Vinnie Jones with hair, which I know he did in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and early in his career he had a full head of hair.
Yeah, right? And this
but he doesn't look as intimidating with a full head of hair.
Yeah, Mean Machine was produced by Matthew Vaughn, who produced Lock, Stock, and was executive produced by
Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
So it was a lot of the same teams, which was kind of weird with why the movie looked so bad. Like, the direction was kind of awful from Barry Skolnick. Like, there's some just bad camera angles and just bad shots and some lazy camera work in general. I guess I wasn't the only one who thought that way, because it was his only directorial film. So
and you're right. It's visually it's the least watchable. And I felt that they had cut out a lot. Some of the things I did like, though, was the juxtaposition against the American version, where in the British version, it's the black clique that joins his soccer team first, which is the complete reversal of the North American version. So I kind of liked that. I like the fact that it showed a very different dynamic.
Basically, the racism theme in the movie was kind of gone.
Yeah.
And in that particular movie, there were certain themes that, because they shortened the film and just this typical British system, like some important scenes that really work in the story are just gone because they don't exist in that system. So the end of the movie, when he's going to get the game ball and there's a real thought of him dying and getting shot because they think he's walking away and leaving and trying to run.
Escape, yeah.
And they don't have that because they don't carry guns.
Yep.
No.
They don't in the British one. So, like, I'm like, wow, that really kind of fell flat, that ending.
It did to a certain. It did.
Granted, I mean, that cast is amazing in that movie. You've got Vinnie Jones, David Kelly, who we talked about in episode 64, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Ooh.
David Hemmings, we talked about in episode 106. In The Wayback Machine, he was in Barbarella.
Yes.
Ralph Brown, Robbie G. from Snatch, Vass Blackwood, who's amazing. He was in Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. He played Massive. Jeff Bell, who played Ratchet, was in Kingsman. John Forgham, we talked about in episode 91 because he was in The Italian Job. Look at all the drops I'm doing for old shows. Sally Phillips.
I love Sally Phillips.
Yeah, played Tracy. Guess was the secretary.
She's the only female character in the.
Mainly the
version.
Our audiences would know her from a bazillion Bridget Jones movies. I don't know how many there are at this point.
And the BBC TV series Miranda. She's in Smack the Pony, the sketch comedy series.
There you go. Good. Danny Dyer was in a movie Trish and I really like called Severance. If you haven't seen that, add that to your horror list.
He's also in Human Traffic, which is good.
And two of my favorite Jasons, because Jason is the best. Jason Fleming and Jason Statham are in this movie as well. So an amazing cast. So it's kind of sad that it kind of falls flat, and a lot of that I think comes down to time crunches and visual style, and there's just general darkness. It kind of takes away from the fun of the story.
A lot of the great humor from the original was lost. I think the only. And all of the humor that did come was taken straight from, like, line for line from the original. Like, there's the bit where Jason Statham's character is being introduced, and where they're talking about how many people he killed before he learned karate. One of my favorite bits in both those movies.
All these movies really do follow the same structure, and the departures in the soccer one for the UK, I certainly appreciated them. It was probably the most different one. It was just, like I said, visually not so great.
Not so great, and the ending did.
You just kind of
flat a little bit.
You just kind of that's it.
Yeah,
because they used the same hook of, in Caretaker it was a different character. They changed all the names for the British one.
They did, because he called me
Doc. It was Doc.
Yeah, Doc. Yeah,
that was.
But he wasn't Caretaker because Massive was the Caretaker character.
Massive was, but Doc's the one who actually died. So they wound up switching some characters around in that movie. But instead of the light bulb, they have like this little lockbox to keep their stuff in and rig that. And I love how the remake trolls you on that scene.
Yes.
So you watch that, you watch the original, and he's injecting the kind of whatever gasoline or whatever into. I don't know how the prisoner got a syringe in the first place.
Right. That was one of my main questions.
Right. He's going to save that as a shiv later.
I know how he got it.
They gave it to him.
They gave it to him, because he's been put up to take out crew.
Yeah.
So they're giving him all the tools he needs to do it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Caretaker's the one who falls victim to it, and then he locks them in there. Unger locks them in on top of it all. It's a tragic scene, but that light bulb explodes, and he burns to death. In the remake, Caretaker Chris Rock walks into the cell, pulls the light bulb, and nothing happens because we don't see what he actually did in there.
Yeah.
And nothing happens. So I'm like, that was a good way to troll your audience.
Especially they've
seen the original
so heavily on that light bulb right before he does it, right? Like you're expecting something to happen.
Yeah. And I thought that was good. Now, I don't remember if I'd actually seen the original Longest Yard. I probably had as a kid, but probably only once with my dad. And, as a young kid, I didn't give two shits about football, so the whole thing was kind of boring to me. But there were things that were a little familiar to me when I watched it. I'd seen the Adam Sandler one a couple of times, and I'd seen Mean Machine once as an adult, so I kind of remembered those. Overall, I think I enjoyed all three of them.
I did. I enjoyed all three. All three of these movies were very watchable in their own way.
Well, I was about to say, when you were discussing Mean Machine, which again, I did do my homework there, but when you're talking about how maybe the moment falls flat in the end, it's sort of, to me, when you were discussing it, it's a very British thing, a very American thing to have that huge hero moment. And it's not particularly a British thing. No,
well, they do have the huge hero moment. The problem is they don't have that moment of tension at the end that they do in the American version.
Yeah, it's the same. You go through the same thing. He has that moment where he's throwing the game, and then has that moral question of, was it worth it to slug?
I always love that moment in both movies where he's talking to the old guy. Was it worth it?
Was it worth it to get stuck in here by clocking the warden? He's being railroaded as an accessory to the murder of Caretaker, even though he had nothing to do with it. So he's making the wrong decision initially to protect his ass and starts throwing the game. And then obviously comes back. They win the whole thing. But that moment at the end, take this ball. It's basically,
a big
fuck
F you.
you. Yeah, take this ball and stick it in your trophy case.
Yeah. Now, this actually brings me to a question I had, because I was watching for it, and if I missed it, I apologize to everybody who's listening. Is, if I recall correctly, the 2005 remake is the only one where Crew says why he was throwing the game.
I really appreciated that. I in the very original movie too, I'm like, why didn't he just tell his players what's going on? He doesn't do it.
Yeah.
And
okay, so I didn't miss it. Okay.
No, that is not in there. And it was something that frustrated me, and then I really appreciated when I finally got to the 2005 with Adam Sandler. It's like, good. Like, they should know why you just douched out on them.
Yeah,
because they'll understand.
They will understand. I mean, this whole thing is a bit about revenge against the guards. That's how he gets a lot of the recruits. Initially, it is a few untrained guys, or they're just going to get massacred out there, and then he starts recruiting some good, either strong players or just
walls,
goons.
Yeah.
And he's attracting them because these guys are being abused by the guards.
To me, like, I do like that Adam Sandler comes forward and says that and tells them why, because it's sort of, I do enjoy that moment in the remake. I think what they were going for in the original, and I don't even know, I might be talking about my ass, is if he admits to them that he was able to be kind of like cowed by the warden, and that, like, he'll seem sort of weak in the face of that sort of adversity, and that he doesn't want to lose face in that manner.
I can see that. I still appreciated the fact, one, that he owned the fact that he was shaving points, was disgraced, and then saying, and he explains it so well in this remake. It's like,
yeah, I mean, this guy starts out as a mess after shaving points off a game, and it really ruined his career, and he's just been stumbling for, I think it was about 6 to 8 years, depending on the movie you're watching, after that moment in his life. And he doesn't find himself and a true family until he gets sent to jail in this moment. And Captain Nauer. How do you spell his name? Knauer. Knauer. That's it. You actually pronounced the K. That annoyed me.
Yes, right.
Captain Knauer, when he's taken to jail, is like, okay, the warden's going to see you. He's going to ask you to go to do something with the football team. Say no, because that was Knauer's pet project. Yeah. And the warden is taking his football very seriously, and they have a semi-pro team, and he really wants to take them all the way this year. Was hoping for Paul Crew,
Wrecking Crew, which I kind of liked.
Paul Crew to go in there and coach them. He says no because Nauer beat him to say no.
Yes, I made it very clear that if he didn't say no, that his life was going to be a living hell.
Yeah. And then there's the warden basically going, "I'm going to make your life a living hell until you say yes."
Yeah. He was in the little hard place.
Yeah.
Well, the hot box and the hard place.
Yeah. Yes.
I actually like how they play that scene with Adam Sandler. He's like looking back and forth. Really?
Yeah.
This is what's happening now.
Yeah. There were times where I felt like Burt Reynolds, I think he's still really young, and there's times where I think he should be reacting and doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I liked about Burt Reynolds' version is his wisecracking character actually worked a little bit better for me than Adam Sandler's, right? Which is funny because Adam Sandler's a comedian, but I actually found Burt Reynolds funnier. Yeah,
there's that bad guy cockiness to him.
Yeah.
I can't even think of actors now that have that smile of his,
Yeah.
It's just like, It's like a grin that makes a noise that I can't make.
Yeah, it's a grin that actually says, "I'm fucking with you."
Makes a sound.
Right? And you can actually hear it in your head when he does it.
Right?
It's not so much a bing.
No, you actually hear those words in your head when he's doing it. Yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed the way he delivers those comedic lines. It just worked really well for me.
Yeah.
Well, when Unger's trying to tell him, like, we could be friends, he's like, okay, that's fine. Like, the way how he's reacting, I was like, I'm glad you like me, but...
Yeah,
creepy touching stuff in all three movies.
And it was,
it was really creepy.
Oh, Unger, they managed to cast Unger in every movie, or the Unger character in Mean Machine. Like, every one of them was really creepy and unique in their own way. Like
the Unger in Mean Machine, by far the creepiest when he's
spitting all the
spittles,
time.
and it's just...
He freaks out when he starts yelling, and it's just like a river of spit coming out of his face. It's disgusting.
Kudos to the
He's like Cujo.
For committing to that kind of performance.
Well, to keep that much spit happening all the time, that's gotta be hard.
Yeah, he worked it, and I love the way they dealt with him after he had killed Doc. Like, it's like, yeah, you're getting out.
Yeah, they sent him to a high security mental institution.
Yeah,
nice.
Again, another great spittle scene because he went nuts. It was awesome.
But it was a way to just get him out of the movie as well.
And I mean, they do in all of them, but the other ones, they just sort of explain it away that he's now in custody.
It's sort of it's off camera.
He's basically the weasel who wants to be on the team and helping out, but
he's also a snitch.
He's also a snitch and a rat
so it doesn't
for the
work.
guards to what they're doing. And this whole game comes up because he's been stuck on work duties and then stuck in the hot box for things, and it's just like, okay, I gotta end this and give him something, give the warden something. So he's like, well, you know what? A good team, you don't really need me as a coach, but what we used to do is just find some team to stomp on as a warm-up game.
A tune-up game,
As a tune-up game.
Yeah.
And
not expecting the warden to come around with what he does.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so he gathers these guys up and to give them the warden a warm-up game, and it becomes this big thing. And the warden in the Adam Sandler one's got political aspirations as well.
He does, yeah.
So there's a lot riding on this, and ESPN's getting involved.
I love how they really amp up the publicity of this one, right? It just makes this warden look so bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a way to get ESPN a plug and then get a proper announcer in there. I think that's what I appreciated a little bit about Mean Machine. It was just a couple of cons doing the play-by-play, and badly.
And badly. and one of my favorite actors, British actors, was one of the commentators.
Jason Fleming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just done badly.
Funny.
And I'm like, well, it probably would be.
See, I liked in the remake too, where it's like a regular announcer and a con. And he's just trying to get him to say something and warm up.
Anything.
But then he does, and he's like, well, it looks like they're doing really well, Bob. He's like, what?
I like the moment where he plays the joke on him. He's like, that's right. Now give me a wallet before I stab you.
No, just joking. Just joking.
And I like the fact that because he looks so terrifying with the scars and the serious look, and then he's actually really, really nice.
It was something Bob. I can't remember his name.
I think it was Babyface Bob.
Yeah, Babyface Bob.
Right.
Steve Reeves from Fargo and the Doors.
Nice.
Obviously a version of Indian. A less racist one from the original film. But the Indian was a player in the original film.
Yes, he was, yeah. And I love that setup. Actually, I'm glad you brought that one up because I love that setup where they're introducing him and Caretaker says to him, don't make any jokes.
Yeah.
It's like, of course I won't.
And then there was this, he's like, oh, I get to play the cards? How? And this look on Burt Reynolds' face, really trying.
Caretaker's looking at him. Don't
do
say
it.
Don't you fucking say it.
Yeah. Like, his name is Indian. How do I not do this?
The other thing about too, I'm like, that joke ages badly. But the other bit about too is I'm like
it's so
I'm
bad.
like, what else did you fucking expect that guy to ask?
Yes, but it was brilliant. That's what I loved about the humor in the first one is it wasn't as over the top as it was in Longest Yard in the 2005 remake because it does go a little.
There's
over
something
the
a
top.
little bit too over the top in some aspects.
It's still funny and it's still enjoyable, but I love the more subdued real situational humor.
Speaking about something I didn't get. I didn't understand. I didn't get. At the very beginning of the original, and there's the guy that comes and does the push-ups, which at the beginning looks like he's just humping the ground. And then he
were the worst push-ups
he's
ever.
humping the ground. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, he's doing, like, I don't know, the wave, like the worm?
I don't
He's
know.
doing the worm.
Pretty much,
Instead of push-ups. It is, like, the worst thing.
And then later he goes up against a tree and does handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
Like, does he have a crush on Burt Reynolds?
I don't
and is
know.
trying to impress him? What's happening?
Because he does spit on him. I think he's trying to be intimidating, but I'm not sure how intimidating push-ups after doing your chain gang shit is intimidating in any way. And they do get into this weird shoveling mud fight.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
which is pretty funny.
Which at one point, Burt Reynolds picks up the mud with his hands, and the guy is standing there while Burt Reynolds lifts up the shirt and opens the front of his pants. Like, dude, you have so much time to react here. What's wrong with you? I'm thinking you want that mud in there, don't you?
I don't understand.
Don't you?
I don't understand the push-ups. I actually do understand that scene. They are under guard. They can't do anything super aggressive.
Yeah, but
they're trying not to anyway. And as people are laughing and laughing, they're kind of putting on a show a little bit before they get super irritated.
Yes.
And then they do wind up scuffling, and then the guards break it up. But
see, and then that scuffle, like, that's the other thing about between the push-ups and the upright push-ups. Like, it seemed to me like how a guy would do that to impress a girl.
To a certain extent,
and when they're scuffling on the ground, I'm like going, this
think
guy's
he
in
is.
love with
I
Burt
think there
Reynolds.
is a little bit of hero worship there as well.
I think there is, and
But everybody,
there's hero worship, but there's hero worship with a little bit of a crush thrown in. I
think
swear
you're
to
right.
God.
I mean, they don't really touch on the aspect of homosexuality in prisons in the original very much, because it's kind of, back then it wasn't really spoken of.
Well, you do have the transsexual cheerleaders.
Yes, you do, and that's about the only real nod to
both
it.
versions.
Right? I think that scene, if you're watching it, it almost seems like they set it up to a certain extent. Like they'd already broken the tension, and there's an in-joke between them that the audience doesn't get until they start laughing after their scuffle in the mud.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
see, I didn't get that either.
It felt like a setup to me, like they had set this whole thing up.
You think of scenes in that movie, like that just feels like a out-of-the-moment comedy bit.
Yeah.
And it really is going for comedy beats and pops away from some of the more serious tones.
Yeah, that scene, I was listening to another podcast, and they have a bit called Cut It Out. This is one of those cut it out scenes.
Yeah, and there's a reason why a lot of that chain gang shit isn't in any other version of this movie.
Because all it is filler.
Yeah, it is.
Because
and
what
it
are they
doesn't
supposed to be
really... It establishes some antagonism from the other cons. Like he's
And
coming in
guards.
as a celebrity that has thrown a football game, and people are really serious about
Sorry, I'm
their
not talking
football.
about the filmmakers. I'm talking about what are they doing as a job in this chain gang?
Oh, yeah.
Like they're shoveling stuff out of a creek.
I don't know.
That was my actual question.
Well,
I didn't
think
understand
that's
what they were doing.
Part of what they're trying to set up too is how he gets his first sort of few players is they get a chance to get off this work detail. That's a completely meaningless work detail.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, there we go.
It's
Thank
just
you.
there to keep them busy.
Yeah.
It's physical labor for the sake of physical labor. It doesn't accomplish anything. Right. So that's how he gets a lot of these first players. Is like, hey, I don't have to do that crappy work detail anymore. I'm in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which ultimately in both movies is kind of interesting is the warden doesn't actually realize that by having this football team and this football game, he is giving kind of these inmates something to do that gives them focus and purpose, and quite frankly probably makes his job easier in the short term.
In the short term, but he's also giving them autonomy. Right? He keeps giving crew these freedoms that end up being a mistake.
But it's still, for the overall population, to have this happen for them is ultimately beneficial.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to run the trailer for Mean Machine, and then we'll talk some more football. Whichever version of football you want to talk about.
At London Crown Court this morning, ex-England football captain Danny Meehan was jailed for 3 years.
Not dangerous, are you, Mr. Footballer?
Only if you've got the ballness.
Governor wants you to coach my football team.
Just want to do my time and get on with my life.
If you don't play ball, you could be with us for some time. Listen, Tell the governor the best way to train the guards is to play a really tough match against a team of cons.
Could be win-win for everybody.
What we need is 11 men to play as a team. Right? Right! Yes!
It's lovely, don't it, Willie?
What's that?
I'm your manager.
Since when?
Massive is your man.
We still need a goalkeeper.
The legendary Monk. That dude is beyond mental. I heard he ate Hannibal the cannibal.
Hello, Mr. Monk. Can you play football? We're playing the guards.
I'm with you.
Let's win, and let's win well.
It's getting hot out there, Bob.
Oh, yeah, Bob. Very Rio de Janeiro. Lose, and they'll never let you forget it.
Oh! Is that all right, though, Dan, yeah?
Cream.
All right, lads. You want to be nothing. Numbers, prisoners, that's fine. Run your guts out and you'll have something in here that can never touch. We'll give you a match.
You'll give us a game. Doubt whether you can match us.
Just look at our boys decked out all in black.
Very haute couture.
No, it's definitely black, Bob.
Boy, Mr. Sykes, you look the part. All you need now is a...
I think it's in everyone's interest if you lose this game.
I can't do that.
You're unbelievable.
Still 0-0, but if this was boxing, the Mean Machine would be head on points.
So you get out there and hurt some people.
Okay, before we move on from Mean Machine, I have to bring up David Hemmings' eyebrows.
Magnificent.
Because I don't know if we talked about it in Barbarella, but I'm going to talk about it
I think we
now.
did.
We probably did. How could you not?
So spectacular in the worst possible way.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there. Like, he deliberately grows them long and then makes these horns on them, and
but I mean, the guy, I think he made a career out of his eyebrows.
being a devil character through his eyebrows.
Yeah, he's like perfected the crazy old man eyebrow.
Yeah.
Yes. He doesn't have to do any emoting at all because his eyebrows do everything for him.
Yes.
Well, you won't notice anything else.
He could be in a coma and they're like going, well, David Hemmings in a coma, but we do have his eyebrows on contract.
Yeah, because they've been well sculpted.
They are very, very well sculpted. He takes very good care of those things.
They're something. Just Google David Hemmings and check out those eyebrows.
You will find out our delight in those.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, they are a character unto themselves.
They sure are.
I wonder, I wonder if they just leave his, the one Robot Chicken episode, they just leave his face in the middle of the night and just go have adventures.
Oh, yeah, we should send that to them. We would like to see that. I would watch that.
They did it with William Shatner's toupee.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Must have soccer game or David Hemmings' eyebrows will attack me in my sleep. That's what Vinnie Jones was thinking.
Yes. Yeah. And you were saying while we were watching the trailer that there's some missed opportunities for comedy beats, particularly with the eyebrows. And we were mentioning what a shame it is that Vinnie Jones didn't get more comedic beats in this movie because he's so good at it.
Yeah, he is. And I think maybe this is just a case of experience. He wasn't super experienced at this point as an actor, but capable.
Well, but very capable. He was very enjoyable.
He didn't have a lot on the resume at this point, but, from coming from soccer, he did pretty good. He had that kind of darkness in him, I think, that Burt Reynolds had.
Yeah, for sure.
When you get a cook causing you a little shit behind the counter and then you do the stare down, I believe it when Burt Reynolds stares you down and it's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I believe it when Vinnie Jones does it. Adam Sandler is like, take your shit and go.
Yeah.
There's nothing intimidating about Adam Sandler.
There is one moment in the scene where he is. There's one scene when after they throw the hornet's nest, and he gets up and Knauer is about to hit him with the baton, and he reaches up and grabs it. The look on his face is actually impressively intimidating.
Okay.
I did enjoy that moment.
Yeah.
Because
I bought it. That was the only time where I bought him as
I don't think it's
guy.
better than when it happens to Burt Reynolds.
No. Again, because Adam Sandler's not the tough guy character like these other two actors are. Unfortunately, a lot of these actors get typecast. I think that's what happened with Vinnie Jones, too, is he's been typecast as the tough guy, even though he's very capable at comedy.
I think that's why, this movie was actually important for early in his career, because he wasn't the super tough guy yet. In fact, it was Jason Statham who had the tough guy role in this movie.
Yeah. Oh boy, did he ever! He chewed up every scene he was in. I loved it.
Oh man, another guy who's got a lot of soccer experience.
Well, as far as I know from Vinnie Jones in his soccer career, is he was kind of like a heavy on the field.
Oh yeah. His play style was very aggressive. Very aggressive.
So that's where this came in. But again, like portraying that on film is completely different than just being that as an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love how like lots of things are maintained within the soccer movie. Most importantly, the nut shot.
Yes.
The nut shot is important. And my question at the beginning before we even started podcasting, I'm like, I thought refs wore cups, but I guess I was wrong.
Well, they certainly do in hockey.
Yeah, they do in hockey. I don't know about in football. The players certainly do.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what in the original movie why nutting the quarterback twice did anything.
Well, in the 70s, were they standard practice?
I
Who
guess
knows?
maybe not.
Yeah, you think about the time, right?
I mean, they certainly make a lot of cup jokes in the remake.
Yeah, maybe
especially with Bill Goldberg.
Yes, which is hilarious. Again, over the top, but funny.
Yeah, that was way too much. I was like going, I'm real curious about it now.
Yeah, but I think that's why they switched it over to the ref in the remake, is because cups had become standard.
Yeah.
By the time the remakes.
And it story-wise, it makes more sense if you've got a ref who's not playing fair.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, yeah, you're right. I was going to go with that note too. Like in the original, the refs are actually pretty much on board, and the cons come up with these underhanded ways to play the game. What I liked in the remake was the rewriting of it, where the refs weren't playing fair, but the cons were playing it straight.
Yeah, exactly. They were either bought off, or they were just like, well, you guys are convicts. Why should we play? Why should we do anything for you, even as a referee? And so that little lesson of calling the fair game, I actually really enjoyed that subtle little change.
As did I. I really enjoyed that. One thing I really liked about the remake too is, as going back to Trish's point, is when they first get on the field, they kind of go a little crazy, right? Like they're all about getting back at the guards.
Yeah, there's this initial like, we just want to get in there and rough
the
up
game's
the
not
guards.
like that. Not like in the remake or the original, where the whole game is about them getting back at the guards or finding like little ways to hurt the guards. But they turned into a real football game after those first couple plays.
When Richard Keel's like, I broke his fucking neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting there going like, I know this is played for comedy, and I don't feel good about it.
No, I didn't. I'm like that. I'm glad it was like changed to
shitting his pants,
which was funny because it was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
shitting his pants. That was pretty good.
And the delight where,
but that guy needed something because he was like, Austin got some of the worst heel stuff to do in that movie and got to say some awful things in that movie.
But it was
crucial too. It got the black populace to play the game with them.
It's very necessary,
and it's pretty much note for note from the original.
It is. Yeah. If anything, I think it's even worse when Austin does it.
I think it's because of our current sensitivity towards that type of language now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even in 2005, this was really, really unacceptable to anybody.
But I mean, like, you look at the world now, people are just openly doing it again. So it's hard to watch, but it's very important to see as you can watch somebody like just uncomfortably struggle with somebody treating them like this way. I like in both movies how it's.
I mean, that was.
The black population where they're like, we're not signing up for this because then it's just like open season on us, and that makes sense. Obviously,
well, and
very
part of
aware
it was they don't want to support Crew because they were very serious about the game as well, and they didn't trust him.
Yeah,
no, but also the underlying is like going, we're getting treated really bad as it is. Like, do we really want to just
and that scene's important for a couple of reasons. Like, they're in the library, and this is one of the few guys that has signed on to the game and is their best running back. Like, he's an amazing receiver.
Absolutely.
And they're trying to get him off the game by instigating him into attacking the guards, and then they can throw him in the box or something, right? And he's not biting. But the other people, the other black populace, are seeing what's going on with this N-word being hurled at him and all this abuse to instigate, and they're like, okay, that's not right. And now they want in on this game so they can get a little revenge on their own.
I think it's more than that too. At least in the original, for sure, it's not just the.
There's pride involved.
There's
yeah.
a lot of pride in the fact that he took the abuse because this game was that important to him. That they realized that this maybe this is bigger than us. This is bigger than what we thought it was going to be, right? And maybe we've misjudged Crew.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of that happening, and it's all very subtle, but you can see it happening at the very least in the original.
And very indicative of like kind of that institutional, complete and total imbalance of power, and people who will abuse this power just to get their own way.
Yes.
And they're openly doing something that's really shitty just to do what they want to do, and it's uncomfortable, but kind of.
But it's important. There's a lot of commentary that in all these movies. That it's very subtle, but it's there. There's some commentary about the prison system, aside from the things that you know probably shouldn't be happening, and in most prisons probably aren't happening. But I've never been to prison, thank goodness.
No,
never plan to go to prison.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Which brings me, sorry, to one thing. The kind of dim character. What's his name? Scholzheimer?
In the remake, it's Witowski. I honestly don't remember which character it was in the original movie.
Because, it was originally a white character in the original, and then it's a black character in the new one, which I'm like, But Switowski, it was weird. Like, I know some of it's played for comedy, but I kept sitting there being... They could have done something with it where, like, I was so concerned for him. I'm like going... Because he's kind of trusting... Not very bright, but there's like these moments of pure innocence, and you can be like, I was really somebody with a nefarious plan.
He's the Green Mile character.
Yeah,
yes.
Somebody with a very nefarious and manipulative spirit could like just really, just take advantage of this poor
giant of a man with a childlike mentality.
Yeah, like I just wanted to like cuddle and protect him, and I'm like, oh my god. But then it brought me to think of like, how did he end up here? And they don't really address it. I'm like going, probably he did end up in some situation where somebody took complete advantage of him and the system just put him in there.
Threw him under the bus.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's a sad thing now that I'm thinking about it. If you contemporize the Green Mile, we now know the end of his story.
Yeah.
Oh, I just crushed that one.
Yes.
Poor man.
Poor man. And then the mouse lives forever.
And the mouse lives forever.
But yeah, I know there's a lot of points where it's like going, oh, please just protect that poor sweet guy. and like just the system totally failed that poor kid.
Yeah. It really did. Right? It did. And you're right. He was there for comedic effect. Yeah, he really should have been in a different type of institution.
Yeah.
I had just so much concern for him.
Yeah. All right, let's go through some of the cast on the 2005 remake here, directed by Peter Segal. And he's directed a whole bunch of Adam Sandler stuff. Tommy Boy was among them. He also directed Get Smart and Naked Gun 33 1/3.
Was Adam Sandler
lots
Tommy
of weird.
Boy?
No, but it's I think it's a Happy Madison.
It's a Happy Madison production.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah. The screenplay was by Sheldon Turner, who I got to say, this is probably that's probably why this movie is as good as it is the screenwriting. He wrote Up in the Air, X-Men First Class, which is arguably the best one, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which was actually one of the better retreads of an older film, which we haven't covered yet, but we will.
Connective Tissue, Mean Machine, you mentioned Matthew Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he direct X-Men First Class?
Yes, he did.
Ha!
Yes, he
well
did.
Done, Trish.
Nice job.
Thank you. It's my pull for the day.
There you go.
Okay, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later.
The original film, actually, I didn't even get into box office, but the original film was like $2.9 million and made 43 at the box office. So it did pretty good. Mean Machine was budgeted at £2.5 million. So I'm not sure what that conversion is.
And 2000, about 5-ish.
Yeah, so and worldwide it did 7.3, so it was definitely not a success. But generally, British film that doesn't get out of Britain in too many markets isn't going to do spectacular. If it makes its budget back, it's doing all right and makes a little bit of money, because I don't think they put near as much into advertising as Americans do.
And it probably, video release probably puts that even higher.
Yeah, I would think. The budget for the 2005 is $82 million.
Whoa.
A lot more.
Yeah, that was all cast.
Yeah, that was all cast, and I'll get to that in a second, with a worldwide gross of $190.3 million. So
it did all right.
It did all right, but this is when Adam Sandler was still actually at the top of his game, and people hadn't tired of his antics yet. Speaking of, this stars Adam Sandler in the title role as Paul Crewe. Burt Reynolds returns in the Nate Scarsborough role.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Rock as caretaker, and I gotta say that was probably for me the most annoying role. I like Chris Rock on. You know what? No, I don't. It's just I don't like his bit. I don't like his act. I didn't like him on Saturday Night Live. I'm not a Chris Rock fan. He overacts, and I just can't do it.
See, I did enjoy him as caretaker. I did. I'm willing to admit it.
I warmed up to him just before he dies.
When he died, I cried a bit.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of Chris Rock, but I enjoy most of his performances.
Yeah, I
enjoyed when he's with Burt Reynolds behind the fence, and he's telling Burt Reynolds, "Shut up, man."
Yeah, yeah.
And then eventually he just walks away.
All of it, he just feels so forced to me. Everything he does.
To be fair, Chris Rock always feels a little bit like Chris Rock when he's on screen.
Yeah,
and I think that's like
he's essentially himself.
Yeah, and I wasn't digging Chris Rock in this. I was digging Nelly though.
Oh, great actor.
Man. He needs to do more stuff. Michael Irvin was really good as well as Deacon Moss. Walter Williamson was also in this movie. Bill Goldberg's battle with the giant dick also came. Bill Goldberg. Most people remember from his WCW days as one of the big wrecking balls of WCW.
Was he the Santa in that movie we watched?
Yes, he was.
There we go.
He was the evil Santa.
Thank you.
Terry Crews was Cheeseburger in this movie, Cheeseburger Eddie, and he was awesome in this movie.
Yes.
Bob Sapp was Switowski. We were talking about him. We also talked about him briefly in another movie called Conan the Barbarian, which we covered in episode 40 in our Wayback Machine. Nicholas Turturro was Brucey. You might know him from anything with Kevin James.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just have to say this. The whole time I was watching this movie, I kept thinking, low rent John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was I couldn't put my finger on it. You got it. Thank you. I was trying to figure out how to
they spend all their money on everybody else.
Yeah.
Dalip Singh was Turley, which was that kind of the really mean character that was locked up. I think he's terribly miscast in this movie. Our wrestling fans will know him as the Great Khali from WWE. He couldn't wrestle, and he can't act either, but he's got a great look.
He's got a great look, but and I mean, he does look intimidating, and I love the ping pong scene. I love that scene. But the scene where they're running into the mud, and you can see that he has no range of motion whatsoever. This guy's so big that
he suffers
walk, let alone run.
It's like every one of these movies. Well, I mean, I guess Richard Kiel also suffered from that too. Was it
acromegaly?
Yeah, sure, that thing Andre the Giant had.
Yeah.
So Richard Kiel also had that, and so does Dalip Singh. And even in his best days, his range of motion wasn't great, and these days it's really tough for him to get around.
And I can see that because he's massive, huge.
Well,
he's
and
big dude.
He's huge, but I mean, with that particular condition, there's still a lot of pain involved, and eventually you lose a lot of your mobility.
Yeah, and I don't know if he had the pituitary surgery that Paul White did, because, I mean, their lifespan isn't long.
It's reduced.
I mean,
it's reduced.
Yeah, Andre lived into his 50s, and that was already past his estimates. Yeah.
But can I say the choice for when they meet and he's doing ping pong? How I enjoyed the idea of ping pong, which requires such finesse and a gentle touch, is the thing that he likes to do.
Oh no, that's what I love about the scene.
And you see the scene, and it's like, and maybe it's basic, like it doesn't look like there's anything that anybody's trying to win this, but he's actually pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
No.
I couldn't do what he was doing.
Yeah.
Playing against that looked hard. I was like, oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah. So I don't know if he normally does that, or if it was something that he practiced a lot for that role, but good on him. I was a little upset when they had to dub everything he said, but generally when you're that big, the subtitles come up, and it does muddle what you're hearing. I didn't have a problem understanding him, though.
No.
So I was a little irritated that they did that. Who else in this movie? Lobo Sebastian. You might remember him from Ghost of Mars. He was Torres. Joey Diaz was Big Tony, and we talked about him in episode 80, Taxi. Steve Revis, also in this movie, with his babyface Bob from Fargo and the Doors. David Patrick Kelly was Unger. You might remember from The Crow and the most recent Twin Peaks series.
And Warriors. Let's not forget Warriors. It's probably his most iconic role.
The iconic line from that entire movie is his.
Yeah, Tracy Morgan was in a transsexual role. William Fichtner was Captain Knauer. Kevin Nash was one of the guards.
I want to talk about Kevin Nash. I totally want to talk about Kevin Nash.
Me too.
Okay. Steve Austin and Brian Bosworth, which is funny because Stone Cold Steve Austin and Brian Bosworth's probably best role was in a movie called Stone Cold. James Cromwell was the Warden Hazen, and Cloris Leachman was Lynette.
With also a mighty bouffant.
Yes.
And thankfully, a really short cameo by Rob Schneider.
Oh, and don't forget...
What was that?
Yeah,
I would have just cut that shit.
That drove me fucking nuts.
Even in that short moment, it was fucking god-awful.
It was. I want to touch base that Ed Lauder, who played the original Knauer, was also in this, in a cameo.
Yes, he was.
Which one was he?
He was one of the golf buddies. He wanted to...
Yes! That's it! He was because he thought that crew had slept with his wife before she was his wife. There we go.
Yeah. And wasn't upset about it.
And was not. He was actually thrilled about it.
Yeah.
If my wife is hot enough to sleep with
Paul
Crew, then I've scored.
Yeah. Then I'm doing well.
Yeah.
See, and there's some of those other beats, like in the original. There's not that bit where other people are around, and I kind of enjoyed that bit where he's playing golf with these buddies of his who are fangirling over someone he's trying to fuck with.
Yes.
And I enjoyed that.
I really did too.
You know, and how much did you fall in your life when you have a hot sugar mama and you still can't make that work?
Courtney, let's start with this.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna be upset about this because, man, the plunging necklines at the beginning of the 2005 are all over the place.
Yes.
Courtney Cox, the super fox, she can do better. This was the problem I was having.
Yeah, she was settling.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, oh my God, this is the guy you're keeping as a kept man? Yeah. You can do better, Courtney.
Yeah, if it was Burt Reynolds,
100% better.
You did good.
Right?
And she did. The original girl, and who I don't know who that was really gorgeous, and I think amazing looking couple. And then there was this. It's like, wow. Yeah. But then again, you look who she married in real life.
Yeah.
But I mean,
she can do better. Yes.
No, she can do better. And I mean, like David Arquette, though, if I was given the choice between David Arquette and Adam Sandler, definitely David Arquette.
Well, yeah, go for funny.
Funny,
which
pretty
means
smart.
David Arquette.
Funny, pretty smart, gets off his ass and does shit. Like, this is the worst part of this whole relationship where I'm like going, if you're going to have a boy toy, at least get one that's marginally interesting. You know, like in both relationships, she's like, he just kept watching football games all the time. It's like having a boyfriend who wants you to sit and watch him play video games. No, that's boring. I'm not going to do that.
Well,
let me live my life.
Yeah, he's lamenting over his mistakes.
Yes,
that's what that scene's about.
But I mean, I don't know. It was sort of. He didn't do anything, and like it seems like there would be a frustration there where, yeah, you messed up your football career, but there's a lot of people who went back and did other stuff like acting. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can still go ahead and kill her later, like OJ, I guess, but
I think
what the fuck?
Part of the problem is that they don't really address it very well in any of the movies, is how vilified he is until he gets to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're right. That's probably it. Oh, car chase. Sorry, one more thing before the car chase. When all those police cars end up, unless it's like an 8-point intersection, how do they manage to surround the car like that?
That's a really good question. I had the same question.
Yeah. And then his car still wound up on top.
Yes.
The angles don't work.
I actually like the end of the car chase better in the original, where it's like, oh yeah, just needed a wash.
Yeah. Well, and you could tell they put in some Smokey and the Bandit moves because they just wanted to put those in there.
It's pre-Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, well, then that could be what got Smokey, because it was like I was watching him evading, and I'm like, that's a Smokey and the Bandit move.
Yeah, no, I think maybe maybe that's where it is. Okay, I'm going to run the final trailer here, and then I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about Kevin Nash.
You have got to be kidding me. There's a huge party going on downstairs.
I forgot about that.
I'll tell you what you should forget about. Football. Because it has forgotten all about you.
I need some alone time to think about our future.
Do not get one scratch on my car.
We're receiving word now that the driver is former Pittsburgh quarterback Paul Crewe.
Well, I hope they like this. Good news, boys. I didn't spill my beer.
All wrecking crew.
I've called in quite a few favors to get you here.
Welcome to Allenville, superstar.
You're going to put together a team of inmates to play against my guard.
I just want to do my time.
Your time here will be a whole lot easier if you just participate.
That's going to cost you. Looking forward to it.
You play football?
Man, I was so bad at sports, they used to pick me after the white kids.
Looks like you could use some help here.
There goes the neighborhood.
We could get a free shot at the guards. We could kill them.
He broke in my nose.
Let me see it. Here we go.
How's it look?
Straighter, more distinguished. Kind of like a young Michael Jackson.
I love little Michael. Well, we may not have the most talented team. Somebody bring me a Diet Coke! But we will definitely have the meanest.
Crew, I'll see you on the field.
I think he's in love with you.
This could shape up as an epic day. Hot dog vendors, high-powered rifles. I love the combination, and the fans do too.
I want you to lose.
I can't do that.
Suit yourself. Spend the next 25 years in prison.
The guy is scared. Scared of you, sick, degenerate convicts.
Run, Forrest, run! You can do it! Get your old can in the end zone! Wow! Who are we gonna crush? Who are we gonna kill? Who are we gonna kiss? Gotcha.
How about from now on you call a fair game? Sounds good.
Okay, I know Sam wanted to talk about Kevin Nash.
He doesn't get that much screen time till near the end of the movie.
No, yeah, almost about midway before he's even introduced.
That's right.
Yeah.
Another really big man. I love the way he just went all in.
Big
on
Daddy
the whole
Cool.
Estrogen thing. It's over the top and it's stupid. It is so stupid and doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
But I just love how he just went, you know what, I'm doing this, I'm going to do it all the way.
Well, yeah, he's usually some heavy thug-ish kind of character in most of the things. 'Cause he's so big and so built. But to have him come in and do some comedy and show some of his natural sense of humor, it was really great, refreshing.
I had some problems with like the fact that this is all estrogen, because it seems like it's weird. I have two minds of this where it seems like I
don't think that would not happen.
Yeah. That wouldn't happen because, like, I'm like, hot flash. He's getting hot flashes. No, women take estrogen to avoid hot flashes. That is a problem. But, like, it's funny. It seems to be, like, kind of trying to make fun of these feminine characteristics, but bringing this feminine energy into the movie seems to make it better for me. Like, I enjoyed his character. Like, he's getting somewhere that he hasn't been before, and it's kind of enjoyable to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's still stupid because it was so over the top, but it was funny because again, because you see this such a large, intimidating looking man doing something and doing it so wholeheartedly.
And him and Crew at the very end, like his character, they have like a little kind of moment together. He's like going, yeah, you guys played a good game. And I'm like, that's lovely.
Yes.
I was so delighted by that.
That's one thing I liked about the end of both of the original and the remake here is Knauer starts off as a real asshole and through the respect of the game for the game winds up kind of backing Crew at the end saying, yeah, no matter what the warden does, I've got your back.
We know you didn't have anything to do with caretaker.
Yeah.
Well, and realizing that he's like going, I might have been backing the wrong horse this whole time. The warden's kind of a dick. He's realizing, oh yeah, I see sort of the problem here.
Yeah. Now, I mean, some of the strengths of the remake is you really get a sense of some of the key players in there as characters, despite the longer running time of the original. I never really get a sense of characters outside of Caretaker, of who they are as people. And Nate.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really, in the original, that you really get a sense of who they are. In the remake, you get a sense of who the guards are, who these key football players are, and what type of person they are. And I think that's something that even Mean Machine does better in that regard. So, I think critically they may be a little more maligned than they deserve, but the audiences are at least recognizing some of the strengths that are in these remakes.
Yeah, because like all three seem to do moderately well as far as the audience are concerned. Critics are a little harder on it. You're right.
Yeah,
and comedies.
And that's the case of just getting married to the original. Like it's not like the original's not without its mistakes, and it certainly might have watched better in '74 than it does now.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. Is anytime you're looking at a remake, and we do it too, we always sort of lean towards that source material as being a benchmark without recognizing what the remake has brought new to it or has improved upon.
Are they better? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but there are things that they have done better, not necessarily as a whole, but in parts there are things they've done better.
And it's I enjoyed the remake a lot, and there's several reasons for that. Also, when we talk about our remakes, is like the first one, you say there's comedic beats, but I consider it more of a drama, and the remake is like a comedy. So they're actually kind of trying to switch genres in it, which at least they're trying to do something slightly different than the original material.
Yeah,
and
there's Mean Machine has crime elements to it. The original is more of a jailhouse drama with comedy beats, whereas the Adam Sandler one's a straight up comedy
with dramatic beats.
It's the other way around.
Yeah. So then that's what the writers decided to do. They're like, okay, well, we know there's comedy beats in that original movie. Let's really focus on those. Bring the comedy to the front. Because it is an Adam Sandler vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? So we need
That's what people are expecting.
That's what people are expecting. Even though, Adam Sandler is much maligned for his boy man character for good reason. And people forget that he is actually capable as an actor. He has done dramatic roles and done them well.
Well, before when you're talking about that moment where he catches the baton and there's that look in his eye, I mean, like Punch Drunk Love, which was a much more dramatic role.
Moment of greatness, and then why didn't you do that again?
Because nobody gave him the shots.
It's hard, but I mean, he has Happy Madison. He's got his own production company. He can get this stuff going.
And that's the thing is, he's not betting on himself, and he should be. He's like, well, this is what's gotten me through this race for 20 years. Why change it?
Yeah. Instead, we get grown-ups on too.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason he sort of shied away from doing more drama is Spanglish. He did not do well for him, even though he was still good in that, and a lot of people really hack on him for it.
And that's Spanglish. I enjoyed that movie. It's a delightful little romp. I liked it.
But again, it was not.
There's your problem, delightful little romp.
I liked it.
But the problem is everybody's determined that they don't want. Everybody sort of is determined that they don't want to see Adam Sandler in these types of roles, which I think is really doing that actor disservice.
And
I think so too.
Funny people. That's actually really good, because that's funny, because you can see if you've ever been a comedian or done comedy, it's kind of a very niche movie, because as a comedian doing comedy, I'm watching funny people and going like, yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, and again, so he has tried to sort of break out of the man boy role, but people just aren't willing to accept him as anything but Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. But honestly, if you're putting Rob Schneider in that moment, you're doing this to yourself.
Yes.
I know you're trying to give your buddy like some screen time, but that even in that short moment, damn near derailed the whole movie.
Oh, yeah. I got
like,
furious.
Wow, how could you have such a short cameo and still wind up fucking it up?
I was getting so excited at that point. I'm like I'm loving watching this game. It's very things are happening, and then that happened, and I'm like,
I was like, because I had written down his name. I'd seen the movie. I kind of remembered him being in it, but we were going through the movie. I'm like, he hasn't shown up. I thought there were more scenes. Nope, nothing happened. Maybe they cut it out. Maybe I'm remembering a different movie.
And then
he shows up, and I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah. And it's because for some reason, all these Happy Madison films all have to have that Rob Schneider punchline, the "You can do it" line.
You can do it.
Yeah, right? Which I think first showed up in The Waterboy, another football movie by Adam Sandler.
Which is not.
Yeah.
No. But no, we can shake our heads. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm just saying another football Adam Sandler movie. That's all I'm saying.
It was. Did he
Poor
do it in
Kathy Bates?
Did he do it in Happy Gilmore as well? I thought he did.
Yeah.
Or was he trying? I don't know. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I think it goes
He's
as far
in there.
back as Happy Gilmore, as far back as Billy Madison. I don't know if when Adam Sandler formed Happy Madison, Rob Schneider was there, and he's like, "Dude, sign this." And Rob Schneider's like, "Please sign this contract where every movie you're in, I have to do this character," because that seems to be what's happened.
It really does. Right.
But speaking of the football game, in the Adam Sandler remake, to me it feels tighter than the original one. Like it's 45 minutes.
It is. Yeah, the original movie's it's actually not that much shorter. Like the original movie's 121 minutes, and Adam Sandler's is 117. The shortest one is Mean Machine,
and like 93.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they cut a lot of scenes and even more just to kind of make their own moments.
Yeah.
But so it's not that much shorter. It's shorter by 4 minutes.
Oh, okay, because like it's 45 minutes of football, and in the original, I was sitting there going like, if I wanted to watch a whole football game, I'd watch a football game.
Well, the thing is, it feels more like a football game, and when you're watching the remake, you're going to the bench a lot, you're going into the huddle a lot for more character moments to make it a little bit less about watching a football game. Mm-hmm. And I think that's smart because you can't assume that you're just getting sports fans to go to this movie.
No, it is, especially when you're looking at it, we'll keep coming back to it, Adam Sandler, audiences have a certain expectation from Adam Sandler movies. One of them is not action.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, if I want to watch a movie about a sport, I kind of want to watch the characters around the sport and not just spend my entire time watching the sport, because if I did, I'd watch the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I like football enough that I could get into the game and be fine with it. I was like, the 45 minutes in the original didn't bore me. It was fun to watch.
It was fun, and because it's well choreographed football. Right? I mean, it's not a real game.
Yeah,
and you don't have all that sitting around waiting time between plays, blah 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 blah. The things that I don't like about television sports, but that doesn't mean I don't like sports. I just don't like television sports. Right. But the thing about film sports is they try to sort of keep that action moving, and so that you're not getting bored with with watching it. But 45 minutes was a little long.
Yeah.
And it sort of brings me to one of the things that
when it's not forwarding the plot,
No.
as a filmmaker, that's the first thing I think about when I'm cutting. Does this scene forward the story? Yeah. If it doesn't, and it seems like it's going on too long, it probably is. Yeah. So cut. And no matter how much you might like that scene, if it's doing nothing to forward your story, get rid of it.
I felt there was more that, too. I'm getting more character development where I'm watching it move along. I'm watching the conflict between him and the other players when he does start to throw the game. I'm feeling those story beats that I should be feeling and not watching a game.
Yeah, I think part of it comes down to the way films were made in the early 70s, or actually in the 70s in general. Right? There's an expectation that a film would be close to, if not at 2 hours. People were spending their $2.50.
Right. Yeah, you were getting a lot of 90 minutes.
You were getting an evening out.
Yeah.
So we have movies that are under 90 minutes, and that's an expectation. Anything over that, you're going, wow, that was really long. Right? Unless you're looking at a Marvel movie or Star Wars movie or something like that. But back in the 70s, audiences expected 2 hours. So they would fill them.
Yeah.
Well, how long was Rollerball?
We've watched
over 2 hours.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of 70s movies now on the show, and Rollerball felt long. Logan's Run feels long. I mean, they just feel long, even in the 60s.
Well, Rollerball, it's not a real sport that occurs, but Rollerball, there's a bunch of that sport that you end up watching. But that one didn't feel as much because I feel like there was actually character development happening when I was watching that game.
Yeah, you still feel like there's a lot of game happening in there, but I mean, it's a game you're just learning about as well, so it's not as much. But go back, listen to our Rollerball episode and figure out how we felt about that.
Ooh, there's one thing
it's a good episode.
I really did enjoy about the original with the game, where they're introducing people and they're having those little cut screens and then they're moving them around as people are coming in.
I actually didn't like that.
I liked it. It was
when
at least
I don't like
interesting.
split screens in a feature if it's not done by ESPN or something. It feels weird. I did not like that at all.
And I think that was kind of a nod to the whole Monday Night Football thing. from the 70s.
Yeah.
Right. So unless you sort of recognize that as being that nod, it is kind of contrived.
See, yeah, because I mean, that bit works for me, but at the point when it's like the whistle blows and it's the end of the game and they're showing all those shots of people, that sort of felt jarring. But that beginning bit felt like a game, like it's something I'd be watching on television.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't dig it.
Yeah, and I think that's why where they sort of grabbed that one. Oh, they were doing the Monday Night Football thing in the original, so let's get ESPN in there to televise the game.
There was something that Robert Aldrich did that makes this movie actually age a little bit better, is he actually shot it with television in mind. So he shot it at a 1.33 aspect ratio, assuming they're going to convert it to 1.85, because when it inevitably went to television, he didn't want it panoscanned.
Oh, nice. That's pretty smart.
That was really smart.
Yeah, it was really smart. I wish more filmmakers would do that.
Well, now we got TVs. Most people have TVs that fill that dimension. 133's kind of gone away in almost entirely now.
Yeah, like TVs were just kind of squarish back then, but now they're all wide, so don't have to worry as much.
No.
That's true.
No, so it's not as much of a concern anymore because most people have gotten rid of their 4x3 TVs.
That is very true. Yeah. I can tell you, I don't have any.
I got one in my basement.
Why?
I used to use it as a bedroom TV, and then occasionally I'll pull it up if I'll sometimes have guests, and I'll do, like, you remember
the video game
night, and I literally had video games set up everywhere. So I had a Nintendo hooked up to that. Because like an old Nintendo won't work on these new TVs.
No, that's true.
So that's why I have it.
There we go. And that's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
And I actually knew better, because as soon as I said it, I'm like, oh yeah, we used it on the video game night.
That's right. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to go back to old technology to get the old technology to work.
Exactly.
That's true, yeah.
Exactly. Well, any more thoughts about The Longest Yard?
It's really the only thing.
They're very, very similar movies, but in a way, they're very different watches. The first one, or Mean Machine, or 2005, they all kind of have their own unique tones, despite following a lot of the same story beats.
I have to agree in there. I enjoyed all three.
I did too.
Mean Machine was probably my least favorite, which surprised me a little bit.
It was the last one I watched, and I liked some of the departures, and I liked the cast, but overall, I think it's probably the most inferior.
The weakest of the three.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched them in the order they came out, because I knew I'd have time. So I did watch Longest Yard, then Mean Machine, then Longest Yard again. And it was kind of nice to have that
middle bit
where it was different enough that
to break it up.
To break it up.
A football sandwich.
Pretty much, yeah. With football in the middle.
Yes.
And then there's poor Trish, who I think it was I oversported her.
I know.
It's like soccer too. I don't know.
I sometimes don't mind. I have this weird thing. I don't mind watching sports, and like if I watch them live, I don't know if you feel this, but if you ever if I'm at a Stamps game, I really freaking enjoy it, because there's something about the energy of the crowd around you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That makes it a lot easier to watch.
Watching live sports is entirely different than watching at home. I actually don't watch sports at home, mainly because I don't have my friends to feed off of. Like, even if it's like watching with your buddies at home, that's a different story. Certainly going to the game, but I love hockey, and I never watch it at home, because if I'm by myself,
But when you're there,
can't get into it.
Yeah, when I'm there, actually in
it's the energy
there and I'm watching it, there's some energy there that's really good. But I mean, also too, I'm that person who I don't really want to watch sport. I kind of want to play a sport if I'm going to be. If sport is involved, I want to be participating rather than just watching other people do it better than I can. I want to fail on my own.
Okay. And I'm of similar feelings. Being at a game, I don't go very often, but there is an energy there that you get kind of caught up in. Even when you go to a pub with friends, you still don't quite get that same energy. I remember we went to see the Super Bowl. I can't remember what year it was.
It was a while ago.
Been a while ago, but we went to our favorite pub, and we were all there. There were probably about 10 or 15 of us there watching the Super Bowl, and not one of us saw the controversial nipple.
The nipple slip.
Janet Jackson nipple slip.
That was a long time ago.
Microsecond of a nipple slip, because we all know nipples are going to harm people.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like a day later. We're like, we were there.
We were watching. How did we miss it?
She had a pasty.
Right.
Yeah, not one of us.
Yeah, that was the thing. She did have a pasty, and there was no
It was
nipple.
planned.
Yeah.
Tells you his plan.
Yeah, so we were all kind of puzzled by that one.
And we're going to watch other people who will have permanent brain damage, but that nipple, man, we better get upset about that.
We were all drinking.
That's a fair point, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't want to make it all about football. I do want to talk a little bit about Burt Reynolds here.
Yes.
Yeah, here we go. Let's talk soccer. No, I want to talk about Burt Reynolds
which we really didn't talk about particularly his performance in the remake.
Well,
I really enjoyed.
When I think of Burt Reynolds' movie, he was really good, but he actually didn't get a ton of dialogue in this movie.
No, he didn't.
And get to emote as much as I've seen him in other movies, which made me think, like, what movies? I mean, for me, I really, really do love the Smokey and the Bandit franchise. I think those are some of my favorites, and the Cannonball Run movies.
Yes,
those are probably my personal favorite Burt Reynolds movies. But what are yours?
That's funny. I was going to ask you if we were going to do this because I went through a phase in my mid-20s where I watched pretty much everything that Burt Reynolds did. So I started with Deliverance, but I'm like, wow, I really like him. Then I watched Gator and Longest Yard. One of my favorites is still actually a couple from the 80s I really like. I love Heat with Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds. It's horribly reviewed, but I still love the movie. And Sharky's Machine.
That's the racing one, right?
Stroker Ace.
No. That's Stroker Ace.
Yeah, Sharky's Machine is one of those crime characters that he plays.
Okay. I don't think I've seen that then.
I liked that because he got pigeonholed into sort of the comedy action stuff in the 80s.
Yeah.
But Sharky's Machine is really kind of dark, and I really like it. And then, of course, his career resurgence with his performance in Boogie Nights, which everybody's sort of been talking about.
Yeah, he kind of fell into a supporting role in his senior years.
Yeah.
But, he got nominated a couple of times for those roles.
Yes.
It's a shame he never got to win one while he was here.
And it sounds like there might be a posthumous nomination based on a movie that came out in 2018. It hasn't had wide release as far as I can tell, but apparently his performance is like astounding.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I would love it if he did get a nomination, even posthumously.
What's your favorite, Trish?
Well, it was Burt Reynolds. Some of his earlier stuff, I did enjoy Smokey and the Bandit. I remember as a little kid really enjoying that. I'm trying to think of what else there was. There was like Boogie Nights when he came back. I was super jazzed about that. I don't know if I was like a huge Burt Reynolds fan. I knew who he was when I was a little kid, but I didn't really. But I remember one time when I was in university, and I don't know why, but like the public access television, they would always play like Deliverance, but for some reason it was right near Christmas. And I kept thinking about how weird it was to have Deliverance around Christmas.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
Very strange.
I don't think I've ever seen Deliverance.
I enjoyed it. Like it's a harsh watch, but it's really good. Like, I mean, to me, you get a more subtle Burt Reynolds than you usually get, and I thought that was really good.
It was, an early film for him. That was his first lead role.
Yeah.
And it is sort of a toned back Burt Reynolds. Like the 70s Burt Reynolds was definitely very different than the 80s Burt Reynolds, which is very different than the late 90s, early 2000s Burt Reynolds. But yeah, Deliverance is a really great performance by him, and it's such a great movie about a study on human nature, because really that's what it is. And then he kind of moved into he calls them his Southern hillbilly action films, I think is what he called them, or something along those lines.
Yes.
He went into this phase where everything sort of took place in Florida and Texas and New Orleans and all that sort of general area of the United States. And he's not ashamed of them, but he certainly had recognized that there was a theme to his
I think he owns everything, good or bad, so that was never really an issue.
And I wish there was like a Cannonball Run meets Fast and the Furious. That was my dream.
Well,
it never happened.
I've always talked about doing a remake of that, an episode for that. So if you guys would like to see us cover Cannonball Run as a remake episode, you can demand it at Invasion Remake on Twitter, Invasion of the Remake on Facebook and Instagram, and Invasion of the Remake at gmail.com. Although I think we just covered what that remake might look like, but
true. Well,
it always baffled me why those guys didn't put Burt Reynolds in it. Like they keep, especially when they went through the Expendables paradox and decided to cast everybody associated with car movies. you think car movies, why was Burt Reynolds never in a Fast and Furious movie?
And wasn't there like a period of time, am I getting this wrong, where it was like him and Dom DeLuise were like a set and they would show up in
Oh yeah, because of Cannonball Run, they were, I think, very good friends.
They were,
and they'd show up in movies together, and it would just happen.
And in the 70s, it was Burt Reynolds and Ned Beatty.
Right.
They co-starred together a few times.
Yeah.
Right?
That's and then you had Lonnie Anderson and
I think that's sad that with the great duo, the great on-screen duos have kind of gone away. Occasionally you get them like Peg and Frost.
Yeah.
But they're a lot more rare these days than they were even in the 80s and 70s. So I kind of miss it.
Yeah, we're starting to see that a little bit with The Rock and Kevin, what's his name?
Oh, yeah. I know who you mean.
They did CIA together.
Jumanji.
Oh. And they've got one other one they did together too, I think.
Yeah, there's the FBI one,
the
CIA one. Yeah,
they have great on-screen chemistry, and I certainly, if they want to keep pairing these guys up, I'll watch them.
Yeah, those are pretty entertaining movies.
Yeah, and I apologize for not remembering the name.
Yeah,
Kevin Hart.
There you go.
Got
Kevin Hart.
Whew.
Who I really like, even though he's kind of got that annoying Chris Rock thing happening, but it's just enough different that it's fun.
I'm not as annoyed by him as I am by Chris Rock.
Actually, if you want it,
just for you.
What you need to do, which is interesting, is watch some of the interviews for Jumanji, where it's Kevin Hart impersonating The Rock, and it's The Rock impersonating Kevin Hart. You will be delighted. If you aren't delighted, your heart is dead.
That is true.
Very true. But yeah, that's an on-screen duo that I can watch over and over again. They work so well together.
I do have one more thing. We didn't get to this. We must discuss the bouffant.
Oh yes,
of the secretary in both movies.
You missed the hot secretary in Mean Machine. I'm like, finally one I would be fine fucking. Yeah. She's getting the game footage for Paul Crew, otherwise known as Danny Meehan in Mean Machine. But that was Bernadette Peters in the original film, and
Cloris Leachman. Sorry, I missed the Mean Machine. Did she have a huge bouffant as well?
No, she was a hot chick with a nose ring.
So they just went the different way.
Yeah, they just were like, well, it's a secretary. We'd hire somebody in their 20s to do this.
Yeah, and
it made sense.
They weren't playing it for comedic effect.
No.
Like they did in the original and in the Adam Sandler remake. And the bouffant was a source of jokes.
Yeah.
But it was there's no jokes in Mean Machine.
No.
There are no jokes except for pretty much the only one that was before he learned karate.
Yeah, in the nutshell. Most of the humor does come from the over-top Jason Statham stuff. But the bouffant.
Yes.
It looked like it required more planning and more time than Andy Dufresne's Escape from Shawshank.
Yes.
I actually thought when she was kind of touching it up there that it was just going to pop off. Like, it just looked like a wig that was going to...
I kind of wanted that to happen, actually.
Because I thought that was going to happen. Like, I was expecting it to move a little bit when Burt Reynolds actually makes a comment about it.
Well, in the original, I kind of expected Cloris Leachman to just remove it, because there's bits
along with her teeth,
just so it doesn't get messed up.
Because there's bits where she's got a helmet on.
Yeah, I
thought
they overplayed that, because then they wind up getting some security footage of what actually went on, and you guys overplayed your hand on that scene.
Yeah, that's true. Because I was like going, some of it just seemed upsetting. Because I'm like, this old woman's there working at like a prison. And so this guy wants this footage, and she's taking
advantage. They just made her feel like a sexual predator.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, but it seems to me there's bits where like she's having fun. They're doing a football play. I'm like going, okay, a little sexual role play. Why are we grossed out by this? Just get on board. It's fine.
And Cloris Leachman was actually pretty fit too.
She
actually did look pretty good in this movie. I got to say,
Cloris Leachman holds her age pretty damn well. I'm saying.
But
and Bernadette Peters is not unattractive in the original either.
No, it's just the hair's a little off-putting, because
they're definitely playing for comedy.
It was not a tidy bouffant at all. It looked like one of those ones that
we're commenting the tidiness of it.
It's not the tidiness. They're both tidy bouffants. It's just the volume of it is. Okay, Mars Attacks?
Yes.
Where the alien has to have the bouffant to cover
The head?
weird head?
Yeah.
That's what I thought was happening a couple
Yes,
times.
yes. I think in both movies they were Mars Attack aliens in disguise.
And I mean, even in 1974, that bouffant was out of place.
Yes.
Because the bouffant had kind of gone out of style well before then.
Yeah.
Well, what in our Gone in 60 Seconds episode, we do discuss a very large bit of hair for quite a long time. So I don't know. Maybe in the southern states, big hair was still there.
Well, big hair's still a thing in the southern states, I think.
Too bouffant or not too bouffant?
That
is the question.
Whether it is nobler in the mind to explode my hair, to cover my head from the slings and arrows of outrageous comedy.
On that note,
to take arms against a sea of hairspray and by opposing end it.
Oh, dear God in heaven. Okay. I've got to end this by requesting your help to kill the bouffant for good. And the way you can do that is supporting the show. Support us on our social media. Repost us. If you're watching us on YouTube, then ding that bell for notifications. Tell people where to find us. We are at a ton of different places, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, TuneIn Radio, Player FM, Blueberry, Stitcher, Libsyn, and...
Frickin' YouTube.
Frickin' YouTube.
I'm so bored when I said it that time. I'm sorry.
But our timing was really good.
Our timing was really good.
I felt that was
that was good.
It felt maybe
you maybe were lacking in the heart, but you know the timing was good.
Yeah, but I think part of the heart is it's part of this movie. You know, you're just tired of being victimized by YouTube, so we're just sad.
I'm tired of being down by the man.
Beaten down by the tube.
That's right. And of course, if you enjoyed the show, make sure you leave a 5-star rating and a short review wherever you found us. That would help us out a lot, and it'd also help other people get their
earballs
on the show. It's been a while. It's been a while since we rocked the earballs. It's back.
It's because of the bouffant. Ears are weird and hair is weird, and we just got there.
We had to get back to the body parts. It's all about the body parts.
So, for you, maybe.
Ooh, we're coming up on a body parts month, too.
Ooh.
Yes, we are. We're just a couple weeks away now from October. And of course, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you know we're going to get into the horror movies.
Yeah.
It's going to be all about the hashtag all the horror. So look for that hashtag on Twitter. We got big things rolling for all the horror month. It's spread out like a virus that is going to infect you all.
It's a horror movie in and of
That's
itself.
right. A ton of other different podcasts are getting on board with all the horror, hashtag all the horror. You know, look for that hashtag on Twitter, and please check out all the other podcasts that are doing their horror month specials. Now, of course, it's going to be 5 episodes dropping that month just because the way the episodes are landing. So we'll give you 5 episodes. Not only that, we are going to be watching a horror movie every day for the month of October. We've done this in the past 2 years now. We call this our 31 Days of Horror. Now, with 31 Days of Horror, it's not just watching a horror movie every day of the month of October. It's watching a horror movie we've never seen for every day of the month of October. So it's going to be all brand new material we haven't seen before, and that will culminate in a probably a 2-part special in November. And we know how you love those specials, especially the 31 Days of Horror special. So look for that to drop in November. Why is it November? Well, you know, we actually got to get through the month, and we do record episodes in advance. So, but with that, we are actually doing it on the days that they were falling. So that means we can't drop that until November. We just can't. So you're going to get a lot of horror from us over the next few weeks. It's going to be about 7 to 8 weeks of horror related material. So you horror lovers are going to just be in your glory. And if you're not a horror lover, you're probably going to be entertained by it anyway.
Because we're funny.
That's right. It's not going to be, we're going to be like, and then there were intestines splattered against the wall, and they walked down like those spider crawlers that you would get out of vending machines. It's a good visual, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll totally do that, but
we'll
there'll
totally
be fun stuff in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got some surprises for you this year, so you're not going to want to miss those episodes.
We do get funnier because partway through the month, we do get kind of mentally destabilized by all the horror.
It does.
It does mess with us a
yeah,
bit.
so watch our Twitter feeds and our social media feeds as well, because you might see some of that leak out in there as well.
We get weird. It just happens.
It does, because once you hit about the halfway mark,
you break a little bit.
Things are happening. There's a reason why I curate mine in such a way where there'll be like horror comedies and things and maybe the slow burn ghost movies, just to kind of break the pace. You can't do a lot of hardcore violence and gore one after another, because it will do shit to you.
Let's just say thank goodness for all the horror comedy guys out there. You've been very much helpful in all
you
of
help
these.
us get us through these months.
Yes.
But we've been very much looking forward to it, and we hope you are too. And with that, I've been Jason.
I'm always Sam.
I continue to be Trish.
And we are out of here.
Well, I'll be damned. That isn't Paul Crewe.
So what did I do wrong? Was I driving poorly?
No, this car was reported stolen.
No. It's actually my girlfriend's car.
Shit happens.
Shit does happen. I mean, look what happened to your ears. I gotta ask you something. Does he get XM radio with those?
Actually, they get a couple of channels. It's Paul Crewe.
Another question, though. Santa Claus. What's he like?
Boy, I hate to arrest a public figure like yourself, but hell, I don't think you got too many endorsement deals to worry about now, do you?
Now listen here, Mr. Frodo. Don't get short with me.
It was good.
I hope you got a lot of money for that game you threw, because that was the most pathetic thing I ever saw. Now, step out of the vehicle, Mr. Crewe.
Don't you think I should pull the car over more? I could get sideswiped.
You sound like you're slurring your words a bit there, Paul. You been drinking tonight?
Absolutely not. Now, could you do me a favor? Hold this beer while I back it up. Hey, you can finish that one. I got 5 more. Take care, guys.